Okay, we will start the session right now. Uh, okay, last session we have learned about fundamentals of rolling contact bearing, that is static carrying capacity, dynamic load, equivalent dynamic load, and dynamic load carrying capacity, bearing life, the rated bearing life, the relation between the rated bearing life and the dynamic load capacity and equivalent dynamic load. So these things we have covered in the last session. So with this correlation and the additional data from the data, we are going to select one simple problem, selection of rolling contact bearing for a given application. Okay, so we will have problem statement. Based on the problem statement, we will select an appropriate rolling contact bearing or give whatever given application. So if they are specified, you have to select particular bearing, we have to select that particular bearing. So let's go to the problem statement. Now I will read the problem statement. So we have bearing selection exercise number 1 here. So here it is mentioned, select suitable deep groove ball bearing. In short, it is sometimes it is written as DGB2, that is deep groove ball bearing. So you have to select here suitable deep groove ball bearing of particular series for the shaft diameter of 60 mm and reliability of 90%. The reliability or probability of survival should be 90%. The shaft rotates at 1440 rpm. The shaft here is rotating at 1440 rpm with radial. So the bearing you are selecting where the radial load is 2500 Newton and axial load of 1200 Newton. So the force data is given here. The forces acting on the bearing is given. Then they also mention the expected life of the bearing is 25,000 hours. The expected rated life or minimum life should be around 25,000 hours. And load factor or service factor is 1.2. Sometimes they will give the external load factor or external service factor. So that external load factor is 1.2. So you have to design or select a bearing for this application. And after selecting that bearing, you have to also check whether selected bearing can give probability of survival of 93%. You are designing selecting for 90% probability, whether selected bearing can provide the probability of 93% or not. That also you can check. Okay, so we are again summarizing the given data here. So the given data that here is most important, the bearing is already mentioned what type of bearing you have to select here. So that is a deep groove ball bearing you have to select here. Uh, where you are mounting this bearing, the shaft diameter at that location is 60 mm. The speed of that shaft is 1440 rpm. Radial load where it is being supported, the radial reaction there is 2500 Newton and axial reaction at that point is 1200 Newton. Since the reliability is 90%, so this life becomes the L10 life. Unless it is 90%, this life will not be L10 life. So since it is 90% reliability, so this life will be L10 life. So L10 life in hours is given, that is 25,000 hours, and service factor CS is given as 1.2. So with this data, we are going to proceed. Before proceeding to the final solution, I am recollecting the procedure of selection of bearing. The last slide in the previous presentation I am repeating here, so that you can those are absent or those could not get through that, they will go through these steps once. I am reading it. I am not explaining right now. The basic procedure of selection of bearing from manufacturer's catalog is as follows. So step A or step 1, calculate the radial and axial forces acting on the bearing and determine the diameter of the shaft where the bearing is to be fitted. B, select the type of the bearing for the given application. Next step C, determine the values of X and Y, that is radial and thrust factors from the catalog. The values of x and y depend upon the two ratios, FA upon FR, that correction is there, and FA upon C naught, where C naught is the static load capacity of the bearing. The selection of the bearing is therefore done by trial and error. See, C naught value depends upon a particular selected bearing. So this ratio x and y, we will change as you change the bearing. So this selection will be based on the trial and error method. Next, D point, that is next step, calculate the equivalent dynamic load from the relation P is equal to X V FR plus Y FA. And if you given a service factor to this entire summation, you have to multiply by the service factor. Decide about the expected life of the bearing and express the life in L10 in million revolution. If the life or the probability of survival is other than 90%, then you convert that life, whatever the life given, convert that life into L10 life by standard relation. Then calculate the dynamic load capacity from the relation C is equal to P into L10 raised to 1 by P. And finally, G, take whether the selected bearing of series has required dynamic capacity or not. If not, then select the bearing of the next series and repeat the step C onward. That is this process. Again, you have to repeat if you are not satisfying the required criteria. So this is our standard process, standard algorithm to select bearing from a manufacturer's catalog. So I am going to follow step by step solution process here. So let's understand this problem statement from step A itself. So let's go to the second step A. What step A tells? You should have the knowledge about radial and axial forces and the diameter of the shaft. Now, eventually in this problem, this data is given. So in the next slide, we are seeing a determination of forces or bearing support and diameter of shaft. If it is not given in the problem, you need to do the calculation. You need to do the calculation, appropriate calculation, and you have to write. In this problem, it is given, a radial load is given as 2500 Newton, axial load is given as 1200 Newton, and diameter of the shaft where you have to support this bearing is 60 mm. Next step, you have to select the type of bearing. That is also mentioned in the problem. So these two parts are already mentioned. That is type of bearing to be selected. That is deep groove ball bearing. So you will refer the manufacturing catalog related to deep groove ball bearing series. Okay. So now you have to start the bearing design. So to start the bearing design, you have to consider bearing having deep groove ball bearing, and you should start with one type of bearing. So there are different series. So I am saying consider the bearing Escape 6012. Now how this 6012 come to my mind or your mind? Let's go to the catalog, and from that you should select this value. Okay, so I am opening the catalog here. Just wait. So we are looking for deep groove ball bearing. So this is an data table for deep groove ball bearing of series 60. That is already in the nomenclature I explained. So when it starts with 6, so it is a 6 ball, means it is a deep groove ball bearing. Then it will have diameter series, means your width or dimension series here, and followed by your basic dimension of the shaft here. So you can start with, say, this is one page of series 60. Similarly, on the next page, we have deep groove ball bearing again of series 62. Then if you go for further, the next series, on the next page, we have deep groove ball bearing catalog for 63 series. And you can go for the next page, catalog for 64 series. So normally, I told related to the load, so there are basically 4 series, but you can have expansion, lower extra light series additionally. So to start the design, you can start with 60, you can start with 62, you can start with 63, you can start with 64. Now where to start? So at this moment, I am not giving any guideline where to start. Let's start with the first page. Let's start with the 60 series. To start with 60 series, so to select a particular bearing, so there are the escape bearings. These are the escape bearings here. So this is 62 series. Let's go to the 60 series. Yeah, 60 series. Uh, there are the designation of the escape bearing bearing designation. So it is 6000, 6001. So out of that, which one we have to select here? So since your diameter here, you can see here, this is the diameter of the shaft here. This diameter is D, small d diameter here. Small d diameter given in the problem is 60 mm, 60 mm. So you have to look for D column here. You have to look for this column D here for 60 mm. So if you see that 60 mm, where the 60 mm is there, so 60 mm is here. So my designation for bearing should be 6012. Suppose I am selecting a bearing from 60 series, then my the escape designation for the bearing is 6012. So I will select this bearing 6012 having 60 mm bore diameter. Now I required from this at this moment I required the static capacity and dynamic capacity. For this bearing, the tabulated value of static capacity, that is C naught, is 1930 kgf. These values are in kgf. I will show these values are in kgf. You have to convert into Newton. So to convert into Newton, just multiply by 10. Actually, multiplication is by 9.81, but if you can approximate, it is multiplied by 10 for simplification. So I am going to multiply this value by 10. So my static load carrying capacity is 1930 Newton. Similarly, dynamic load capacity here is 2280. Also, whenever you select a particular bearing, also you should look for the maximum permissible speed also. Now, most of the application, we have lesser speed, but if you are selecting bearing for, say, grinding machine, if you are selecting, say, bearing for, say, turbine, their speeds are very, very high. And here the permissible speed limits are given. If that value is exceeded, then this bearing cannot be used for that application. So here, if you see my permissible speed here, maximum permissible speed for 6012 rating is 8000 RPM, and my current application has 1440 RPM. So I can select this bearing and start checking whether this bearing is safe to use or not. Okay, I think you may have understood how we have selected 6012. So we have basically looked for the bore diameter, and it may happen your bore diameter or shaft diameter you have got maybe 30. Say your shaft diameter is 32 mm. Now you may have a choice to select either 30 mm diameter here. 35 mm diameter cannot be selected because your shaft diameter is bigger, so your bore diameter should be greater than that or lesser than that. I mean, lesser than that. If required, you can enlarge that bore diameter by boring operation. So when if you have 32 diameter, then you have to select this 6006, and we have to check whether it is having satisfying the static capacity, the dynamic capacity, as well as speed. At this moment, we have standard dimension here 60. So 6012 we are selecting, and this data we are taking 1930 kgf and 22080 kgf as a dynamic capacity. So this data I am produced here. So we are going back to the presentation again. Okay, so we have selected bearing escape having designation 6012, and for this bearing C naught value is 1930 kgf, that is 19300 Newton. Just multiply by 10. Then this value in the table here is the design value or the maximum value. That's why I put in square bracket here, dynamic capacity capital C in square bracket here. So which is given there as 2280 kgf. So let me check whether I have taken the same value or different value. So 2280 is correct. So 2280 kgf. So convert into Newton, that is 22800 Newton. So this data I have taken from PHG 4.12. So when we are writing this data, you have to cite this detail. This is available from PHG 4.12 table. Now from this we will calculate now, you know the value of C naught. So we can calculate certain ratio. So I'm calculating FA by FR ratio. That is 1200 upon 2500. These two values are given in the problem. So this ratio comes as 0.48, and FA by C naught. C naught is your static load carrying capacity. This value 19300. So 1200 upon 1930. So this value is around 0.062, means around 0.07. So now we have to go for table. So with this, we have to find out the X and Y factors, these X and Y factors. So these X and Y factors will depend upon this ratio FA by C naught and FA by FR value. So we have got this value of 0.62. As we go to the table, let's go to the table. I'm going to the table, which is on 4.4 page. I have downloaded it separately so that we can quickly use it. So this is my 4.4 page, equivalent bearing load ratios, X and Y ratios, depending upon FA by FR ratio and your FA by C naught. Now our application is deep groove ball bearing. So type of bearing is deep groove ball bearing. Our FA by C naught value, our FA by C naught value is around 0.062. So if you see the table values here, you will not get all the table values here mentioned here. So you will have, just a minute. Okay. So you will not have all the table values listed here. So we have standard table values listed here, and you have to look for your calculation the closest there. If your value is not close, then you have to do the interpolation. If required, you can do the interpolation. Now the value what we have calculated for FA by C naught is around 0.062. So that is very, very close to 0.07. That's why we can take FA by C naught approximated to 0.07. Then we have FA by FR value. So for this value, the standard E value here is 0.27. So when you compare that E value with FA by FR ratio, our FA by FR ratio is 0.8. So this FA by FR ratio is greater than E here. Just wait. This FA by FR value is 0.48, which is greater than this 0.27 value, because our value is in this row. So the limiting value of E is here 0.27. So we have to follow X and Y value from this column. Since our value is greater than E, so X for this value is constant, that is 0.56. Now Y value corresponding this to this row, Y value here is 1.6. So what it indicates here, you have a radial factor and axial factor here. You have radial factor and axial factor here. In this, your axial load has a definite effect on your selection of the bearing. As your ratio factor increases, you can see here, here it is 1 and Y value here it is 2. So as your E value changes, FA by C naught value is more, the effect of Y will be more. So that will be affecting your equivalent dynamic load. So we are selecting 0.56 and 1.6 from this table. So you can go to the table and you can see, you can go to the presentation and you can see the selected values here. So we have selected the values associated. Since our value was 0.06, so we approximated to the table value of 0.07. So for table value of FA by C naught of 0.7, E value is 0.27, and what we observed that FA by FR value here it is 0.48, E value is 0.27, so FA by FR is greater than E. So following that column, we got X value is equal to 0.56 and Y value is equal to 1.6, and this we have referred from both these tables, or we are referring from PSG 4.4 page. Okay, now you have got the X value and Y value. So next step in D, you have to determine the P value. So P value is X VFR plus YFA. Unless service factor is mentioned or service condition is mentioned, you have to multiply by 1. If it is mentioned, you have to multiply by greater than 1 value. So since in the problem it is mentioned the service factor or load factor is 1.2, so we have to multiply by CS here. So we are putting that CS value of 1.2 here. Then we have X value 0.56. Since your shaft is rotating here, shaft is rotating, so inner race is rotating. So this race rotation factor V is equal to 1. When inner race rotates with respect to the outer race, then you have to take V is equal to 1. When inner race is fixed and outer race is rotating, V will be 1.2. Then we have radial load 2500. Then we have Y value selected 1.6 here, and axial load 1200. So our equivalent dynamic load calculated here is 3984 Newton. Our equivalent dynamic load here is 3984. So we have completed step D. Now let's go to the step E in the next slide. So step E is to determine dynamic load capacity. So E, now you need to know what is the rated life for given probability of survival, or if you have to given if probability of survival is given other than 90%, then you have to convert. So since in our problem probability of survival initially given is 90%, so relation between million revolution life and working hours for L10, we have this formula. L10 is equal to 60 and L10 in hour upon 10 raised to 6. So we have L10 hour given here as 25,000 hours, which is specified in the problem. The speed of rotation also specified in the problem, that is 1440 RPM. So you can put these values in the above relation here. So we are putting 60 into 1440 into 25,000 upon 10 raised to 6. So we get the L10 life in million revolution. So L10 in million revolution at this moment is 2160 million revolution. This is I have written in short, but you can write in text also million revolution, MR for million revolution. So this is the life we are expecting for this selection. So now we are going to check with this. To attain this life, we required certain dynamic capacity. So you required minimum dynamic capacity C here. So the relationship between dynamic load carrying capacity, equivalent load, and the bearing life, the rated bearing life, is equal to C equal to P into L10 raised to 1 upon P. So this is the minimum dynamic capacity required to attain this life. So by putting these values here, you are going to put these values here. So now L10 is given calculated as 2160 million. Okay. Okay. So by putting these values, we have P 3984 and we have L10 2160. Since our bearing is ball bearing, so P value is 3. So 1 upon P, that is 1 upon 3. So you require dynamic capacity in Newton, that is 51,499 Newton. So this is the required value. This is the required value, minimum required value. Now actual value. Let's go and compare the actual value. So next slide, we are checking this design. So we are checking the dynamic load capacity calculated, that is the minimum required, and tabulated. So we are comparing values here. Tabulated value for escape bearing 6012, we have already taken from the table. That is from this value is 22800 PhD 4.12. Calculated value from the previous slide, it's 51,499 Newton. Therefore, the selection of escape 6012 bearing. Now, if we compare this here, see the required value is greater than the tabulated value or design value here. So, see here we required more and table value available for this bearing is small. So, our selection is wrong. Means, therefore, selection of escape 6012 bearing has failed. Here, the selection of that particular bearing has failed. So, again, when your selection fails, what is your step? You have to go for next bearing. Now, why our selection has failed? We will go back and do all this calculation of CD again. But why our selection has failed? If you go to the slides here, we will go back to the slide and I will tell why our selection has failed. Let's go to the initial data. So when we have selected a bearing here, say this slide here, we have selected a bearing 6012. Whenever we select a bearing, you should follow certain thumb rules. So I am telling you thumb rule. It is not written anywhere in the textbook or this thing. This is the some expertise we can gain after doing some exercises. So when we have to select any escape bearing, what is the thumb rule used? So thumb rule, basic thumb rule used, whenever you select a bearing, you are looking for what? You are looking for dynamic capacity. So you select a bearing with a dynamic capacity such that whatever is the maximum load in your case, so your load, maximum load in your case is around 2500 Newton. So your dynamic capacity should be at least 10 to 25 times greater. The range that is given, the dynamic load capacity here expected for your selected bearing should be in the range from 10 to 25 times the your bearing value. So if you see here, this value is approximately 10 times, but sometimes it can go up to 25 times. So normally we should look for 15 times to 20 times. So if I say 20 times here, so what should be my capacity? My capacity, 20, say 20, if I multiply to this value 20, so my dynamic capacity expected minimum should be around 50,000. Now, what we have selected 6012, which has 22,000 Newton. Means we are far away from the approximate value of dynamic capacity required. So when I will select a bearing such that my dynamic capacity should be at least 50,000. If I multiply by 25, then it should be in the range of around 65,000 Newton. So let's say minimum it should be 50,000. So next slide, I am repeating the step number C onward. So I am repeating the step number with wise decision now. It is not a random decision now. Now it is a predetermined wise decision with some certain thumb rule. So I am applying my thumb rule here. So I am going back to the again the data table. So here I am going to escape 6312. Why we are going to 6312? Let's see the tables and understand it. So let's go to the again deep groove ball bearing data. Okay, so this was the data for your 60 series. So with our 60 mm diameter, you have this pair and this value is less than 50,000. So let's go to the higher value. If you go to the 62 series here, this is with the 62 series 6212. This is around 4050 means multiply by 10. It comes as 40,000. So still my requirement of 50,000 is not satisfied. Then we can go for next table. So next table is for 63 series. This is a 63 table. So 63 table 6312. This value is 6400. So multiply by 10 means this value in Newton is 64,000. So this table value is following certain thumb rule. After following thumb rule, this selection may be appropriate. I am not saying this is a correct decision, but this may be correct, appropriate. So we will have data collected for 6312. So for 6312, dynamic capacity is 4800 kgf and static capacity is 6400, as well as maximum speed is 5000 rpm. So this is above the application speed. So we can select this bearing 6312 and do the analysis. So by selecting this bearing, let's do the analysis again. So now we are selected 6312. So 63, considering escape bearing 6312, C0 value is 4800, that is 48,000 Newton, and the table value of dynamic capacity is 64,000 Newton. So this we have referred from PSG 4.14 page. Now based on this FA by FR value, which will not change because it is based on FA and FR, that is 0.48. FA by C0 will change here because C0 value has changed here. So FA by C0 here is come as 0.025. Now for that, now you have to look for X and Y table values. For that, you have to take the table. So 4.4 page you have to check. So I'm showing that 4.4 page here. So 4.4 page. So we have FA by C naught value 0.025. So we get the exact table value. Then E value here, E value is 0.22. My FA by FR value is 0.48, which is greater than E value. So again, we have to follow this column. So in this column, we have got X equal to 0.56 and Y is equal to 2. So selecting these two values, we are going back to the design again. So let's go back to the design. So in this design now, we have selected the new values of X and Y for new bearing. So these are the X and Y value for Escape 6312 bearing for given application. So based on this, we again calculate dynamic load. So our dynamic load now change a 1.2 into 0.56 into 1 into 2500 plus. Now this has changed to 2. So 2 into 1200. So our dynamic load comes as 4560 Newton. Next step, again we will do the calculation of required dynamic capacity. Now rated, this will not change because we have not changed the life. So the life will remain same. The life L10 life will remain same as 2160 million revolution. Dynamic load capacity will change because your equivalent dynamic load has changed. This P value has changed. So your dynamic capacity, required capacity will change. Capital C value will change. So capital C value required here is 4560 into 2160 upon 1 by 3. So this capital C value comes out to be here as 58,945. Now again the comparative decision. So next slide you will be doing the comparative decision. So the required, so dynamic capacity required for the application is 58,945 Newton. This is required, minimum required. Available, what is available? That is the permitted value, maximum permitted value for 6312 bearing is 64,000 Newton. So my required value is less than available value. So therefore selected escape bearing 6312 bearing is safe. Now say this your bearing selected is safe. So you can write down the bearing data. So we have to write down the bearing data from the bearing table. So that there is a table values available, table data is available. So I am showing the table values here. So you can refer this table here, 6312 table. So we have 6312 table here. I will take it up so you can understand. Okay, ready. So this is your 6312 table, escape bearing designation. Then diameter of the shaft here is 60 mm. Then D1 minimum, I will explain what is D1 minimum in that diagram. So that is 72 mm. Then this is the housing diameter on the maximum housing diameter is 130 mm. Then D2 max here is 118 mm. Then width of the bearing is 31 mm. Then the radius here that is the radius on your bearing is 3.5 mm. Then corner radius for housing and the shaft is 2 mm. This data I have written there. So let's understand what is this data in the presentation. Okay, so I am writing the dimensions of the bearing here. This is your shaft. So what is the shaft diameter which is given in the problem? Given in the problem it is 60 mm. So bore or shaft diameter is 60 mm. Outer race diameter, that is capital D. Outer race diameter is capital D. So this, when you put the bearing here, so it is circular bearing, so it will be surrounding the shaft here. So this outside, this diameter is extended below. So this diameter is required here is 130 mm. Then the width of the bearing, this is the width of the bearing D. Width of the bearing from the table, it's 31 mm. Then minimum diameter for shaft for abutment. So D1, what is that D1 minimum? That is in the table, D1 minimum is given. So the D1 minimum is 72 mm. So what is that minimum diameter of the shaft? So D1 is here. So this is the shaft, and this is the D1 size, the D1 maximum size. So what is the D1 maximum size? Many times you have to mount the bearing, and to mount this bearing, you require abutment into the shaft surface as well as housing surface. So what is abutment? We create a shoulder. Abutment means creating a shoulder in the shaft or creating shoulder in the housing. So what should be the diameter for abutment here, or what should be the shoulder diameter? So what you can say is the shoulder diameter for the shaft. So the shoulder diameter, maximum shoulder diameter permitted here, D1 is how much? 72. So this is the maximum, actually this is the maximum diameter, not minimum, maximum diameter of the shaft for abutment, that should be 72 mm. If you don't provide this diameter, what will be happening? There is a chances under the axial load condition, this bearing will slide on the shaft. This should not happen. So there should be proper support. If this distance is small, then there is a chances that under the action of this axial force in this direction, this bearing may override and may slip here. So to avoid that, you require some minimum diameter here. That shoulder should be having minimum diameter of 72 mm. Then similarly, sometimes the shoulder may be provided only on the shaft. Sometimes the shoulder may be provided on both shaft and housing. So housing also, we should have this D2 value. This is the D value, that is 130 mm. So D2 will be less than 130 mm. So how much less? Minimum. So that is called minimum. So minimum diameter of housing for abutment can be 118 mm. Maximum diameter is 130. So this is 130. So you can keep material to such an extent that you can mount this bearing appropriately and you can lubricate with a space. So there is no problem for lubrication. Abutment is taken care. So for abutment, this diameter can be 118. That is, shouldering diameter can be 118 for housing. This is the housing part. Then we require corner radius. One is corner on the bearing, corner radius on the bearing, and another radius will be corner on your shaft and on your housing. So R is for corner radius on your inner and outer race. So this is the inner race and this is the outer race. So inner race, what should be the radius here for the bearing? What should be the radius for bearing here? So this radius mentioned in the table is around 3.5 mm. And then the radius for housing here and radius for corner here can be of the order of 2. You may say they are not matching. It is not a problem here if they don't match, because these are the minimum value you have to keep. You can take it to 3, or you can take this value to 2. You can take this value to 2. So this is regarding the bearing dimension. So once you finalize your selection of the bearing, you have to write down this bearing dimension. If required, you can draw this schematic sketch, and then your problem becomes solved. Now, if you go to the problem statement, we have completed your selection problem. That is the first part we have completed. If you go to the problem statement here, again, if you have here, we have completed this part here. Okay. If your probability of survival is not equal to 90%, then how to select bearing? That is also problem. So also check whether selected bearing can give probability of survival of 93. Here we are not going to select bearing, but we are going to check whether we can attain with a selected bearing, whether we can get higher probability of survival or not. Let's check how to check that. So for that, let's go to the theory. I am explaining theory first, and then we can cross check. Yeah, we have completed up to this point. So let's go to this now. Now, when life is other than L10 life, we required a life which is a life for a particular probability. If that probability of survival is other than 90%, means you require a life other than L10 life. So in many occasions, we need the probability or reliability of survival other than 90%. The probability of the survival needed may be greater than 90%. If it is less than, there is no issue. But if it is greater than 90%, then you have to make your design step by selecting right bearing. So to select the right bearing, you have to calculate appropriate L10 life. L10 life is always associated with 90% reliability. If your reliability is 94%, then how you will get the L10 life for that product? So there is a relation between reliability, probability of survival, and then life. So we have a relation here. Consider L is the required life in million revolution. What we require, actual life required in million revolution. L10 is the calculated life for selected bearing with 90% survival. And R is the required probability of survival. R90, that is standard probability of 90% survival. So if you this is in percentage, if you convert into a fraction, so R90 value is equal to 0.9. So the relation between L and L10 and R90, we have written this formula. This formula is also available in data book. L upon L10 is equal to log of 1 upon R upon log of 1 upon R90 raised to 1 by B. If you selecting ball diameter, then you have B is equal to 1.17, where R is here required probability of survival. You may require 92, you require 94, 95, 97, 98% percentage of survival also. And R90 is the standard probability of survival of 90%, that is 0.9. Suppose if it is 92, so you will write here 92% means 0.92 here. And you require say 25,000 hours, then you convert that 25,000 hours into MR. You will put that value here. Suppose that is coming as say 1,500 million MR. So you will put that 1,500 million revolution, and associated L10 can be calculated. Associated value of L10 to get that probability can be calculated from this relation. So this relation is normally used for calculating L10 life for actual life for probability other than 90%. Okay. So let's check this using this formula. Let's check whether we can attain that 93% probability here or not. So in the next slide, I have demonstrated whether given bearing selected. So we require now now I am expressing that L10 life for 93% reliability. So my rated life for probability of reliability of survival, I want 93%. So the relation between the life in million revolution and working hours, this relation is to be used. Now here instead of L10 it is normal L now, and here instead of L10H it will be normal LH. So 60N LH upon 10 raised to 6. So this is actually LH. So forget about copy paste error here. So LH is equal to here as 25,000 hours, which is mentioned in the problem. N is 440 RPM. So from that we get L required here. Actual life required here is 2160 million revolution. So this L is here. This L is required here is 2160. Now with a reliability of or probability of survival of 93%, what is the L10 in that case? So to determine this L10 value, we can put the values here. B value is 1.17. R value is 93% means 0.93. L value we require minimum life of 2160. So 2160 life is there, a million revolution. Then R90 is 0.9. So 0.9 is put here, and we can find out L10 required here. Now L10 required here will be 2970.5 million revolution. So this much of rated life is required for a bearing. So this much of rated life is required for bearing. Now we know your equivalent dynamic load for your 6312 bearing. So for that 6312 bearing, let's calculate what is the dynamic capacity required to have reliability of 93%. So in the next slide, I'm doing that calculation here. So that calculation you can check here. So we am doing the calculation here for rated life of 29705.5. Yeah. So we require here dynamic capacity of 4560 into 2970. This is the new value of L10 here, raised to 1 by 3. So we require C here, that is the required capacity here, 65,551 Newton. Now this is the required value for 93% reliability. What is available with Escape 6312 bearing? The available value is 64,000. So what it indicates here, minimum required value is greater than the available value. So your selection of Escape bearing has failed here. Means by using that 6312 bearing, you cannot get that 63% reliability in your design. So to get that 63% reliability, then instead of 6312, you may have to select here 6412. So that I am not doing the calculation again here. This is for demonstration for you how a selected bearing may fail under certain circumstances if the probability of survival changes. So if the probability of survival is other than 90% also, you can design the bearing by converting that probability of survival into the appropriate L10 type, and you can calculate the required capacity, and you can cross that required capacity with available capacity. and you can design your bearing. So this is regarding our first exercise on this thing. So then your question, sir, there may be chances we may not use single bearing into the application. So we may use multiple bearings into the application. So there will be multiple components. Each component will have different reliability and different probability of survival. Then how to calculate the system reliability or component reliability of a particular component to attain the minimum required system reliability. So I'm just exercising this value engineering concept here. That is reliability engineering concept here. So sometimes you will have problems based on this also. So let's understand the difference between system reliability and component reliability. So I'm just explaining what is meant by system reliability and component reliability. Your system is comprised of number of components. So you may have, suppose if there is a single shaft and the shaft may be supported at 2 points. So there will be 2 bearings. So each bearing will have different probability of survival. Each bearing will have different probability of survival. Suppose your gearbox is a 2-stage gearbox, then there will be 4 bearings, each 2-stage gearbox. So there will be maybe 2 or 3 shafts. So there may be 6 bearings. So each bearing may have different probability of survival. So in many applications, there are n number of bearings are to be used, and they may have different probability of survival. Each bearing may have different probability of survival, say R1, R2, R3, and Rn. Okay. Then these are the individual probabilities of survival. These are called component reliability. These are called component reliability, each component reliability. The system reliability or probability of survival is just product of all these values. Probability. This is a probability approach. So what we require system reliability, say R, that will be a product of R1, R2, R3, and Rn. It is a product of R1, R2, R3, and up to Rn. So if I am selecting bearing for supporting the shaft, suppose I select same bearing everywhere. If I put, say, the shaft diameters are almost same everywhere, for same shaft, at least I will select same bearing for 2 places or 3 places. So I may have the reliability of each product same. So this is a special case. The reliability of each component is same. This is Rn. So R1 is equal to R2 is equal to R3 is equal to Rn here. So you may have a special case wherein all n components or n bearings we have same reliability. Then this system reliability product becomes as R is equal to R1 raised to n. That is any one component reliability raised to n. So from this you can evaluate what is the minimum reliability required for each component if you finalize the system reliability. Suppose you finalize the system reliability is 80%. Then, and if there are say 2 components, then what is the reliability of one component? So 0.8 R1 is unknown raised to 2. So in that case R1 will become 0.8 raised to 1 by n, that is 1 by 2. Similarly, if there are n components, R1 will become R raised to 1 by n. R raised to 1 by n. So to get the required probability of survival for individual component, having the reliability of probability of survival R for each component based on this relation here I am writing, R for system, this value is for system, R for system raised to 1 by n, where n is the number of components. So from that you can determine the reliability value, and if this reliability value is other than 90%, if this value is other than 90%, you can follow the previous methodology to find out the L10 for that value of other than 90% reliability, and then you can design or select a bearing. So this is regarding the system reliability and component reliability. If there are 4 bearings, suppose there are 2 shafts you are supporting and you are using same bearing at every location, you have 4 places, then the reliability required for that bearing will be equal to, suppose you require the minimum reliability of 80% there, so 0.8 raised to 1 by 4. So this value may be of the order of 0.94, 0.93, 0.95, in some cases maybe 0.98. Based on that, you can calculate your L10 life. Based on this relation, you can calculate your L10 life, and that L10 life can be used for calculation of the required capacity, this value. to calculate the required capacity by this relation, and based on this, you can make a decision whether to select particular bearing or not. So this is regarding the selection of the bearing from the manufacturer's catalog. I have taken very simple problem, and with wherein most of the data is given in the problem. If you have any query, you can ask, so I can explain it. If you have any data, please ask. Any doubt, you can ask here. If there is no doubt, please wait. Don't